The time is 1:15. Here's the news edited by Catherine Pereira, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. The President invites all parliamentarians and political parties to establish an all-party government. A National Assembly consisting of political party leaders. National economic policy for the next 25 years will be prepared. An office will be set up to protect the peaceful protesters. UAE's President hosts talks with President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Payments for diesel cargo settled. Foreign news, Nancy Pelosi strip labeled as extremely dangerous by Beijing. Local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe arrived at the parliamentary premises for the ceremonial opening of the third session of the 9th Parliament. President Ranil Wickremesinghe today reiterated the importance of establishing an all-party government in the country. He said he took over the country that was in disaster with severe economic crisis on one side, massive public opposition on the other side. However, he decided to accept this critical challenge on behalf of the people and the country. He stated that today we are facing an unprecedented situation that our country had never faced in recent history. We are in great danger. The country could expatriate and be secured from the danger. Only if we all face this challenge together as one. It is vital that the members of this parliament as well as the entire public contribute with their own strength towards the effort of national building. He once again requests all parties representing the people in this parliament to unite in the formation of an all-party government. Need to move towards long-term solutions in order to overcome these difficulties. A strong foundation needs to be laid as not to repeat this kind of economic crisis in our country. As a parliamentary step, we invited negotiations with the International Monetary Fund on a 4-year program. We would continue these discussions from this month. It is our expectation to conclude the staff-level negotiations expeditiously and successfully. Subsequently, negotiations with private creditors would also begin to arrive at a consensus. As a remedy, we are preparing a national economic policy for the next 25 years. It lays the foundation for a social market economic system, securing development for the poor and underprivileged groups and encouraging all small and medium enterprises. If we build the country, the nation and the economy through the national economic policy, we would be able to become a fully developed country by the year 2048, when we celebrate the 100th anniversary of independence. He hopes to establish a National Assembly consisting of political party leaders. For the next step, we will be able to arrange a program with a common minimum program with the consent of all through the National Assembly. A comprehensive series of political reforms are required to implement all these functions. He will carry out those reforms during his tenure. However, not based on his own opinion, but with the consent of Parliament based on the views of the youth, women and other people. Peaceful struggle is a fundamental right. He said he accepts those rights. Some groups are trying to spread a huge propaganda through social media that he is hunting down the protesters. But it is not true. He will establish an office to protect the peaceful protesters and support them. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. President of the United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan has made a phone call to President of Sri Lanka Ranil Wickremesinghe congratulating him on his election as the country's new president. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed also wished him success in leading Sri Lanka towards stability and peace and overcoming the circumstances it is going through, news agency WAM reported. During the phone call, the UAE President and President Wickremesinghe discussed bilateral relations between the two friendly countries and ways of enhancing them, as well as a number of regional and global issues of the mutual interest, it said. The Power and Energy Minister today said that payment for diesel cargo has been made yesterday and the discharging process begins today. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation had entered into a one-year agreement for the supply of jet fuel. The CPC will receive the first cargo between 12th and 14th of this month. He also stated that partial advance payments were made to gasoline and diesel cargo as well. Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri will travel to Phnom Penh, Cambodia to take part in the forthcoming 29th Asian Region Forum. The Asian Region Forum, ARF, is composed of 27 members consisting of 10 ASEAN member states. Minister Ali Sabri is expected to meet several counterparts on the sidelines of the forum for bilateral discussions. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Commissioner General of Examination Department LMD Dharmasana said that the Examination Department is to release the results of the 2021 AL examination before the end of this month. He told that no specific date has been decided to release them. He said the department has to conduct the practical exams for the candidates who were unable to participate during the protest period. However, with his fuel crisis and the transport issues, the teachers are unable to report for their duties of scrutiny of examination papers. Meanwhile, the Commissioner General also said that the department will announce the dates of the practical examinations today.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
The old culvert constructed across the Ratgama Canal is in danger situation and is nearly collapsing. There may be occurring accidents as the vehicles are plying on this road. The residents are requested the relevant authorities to develop the culvert before occurring an accident. This is for the attention of the chairman of the Ratgama Pradesh Sabha.
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
Moving on to world news, headlines first. Nancy Pelosi trip labelled as extremely dangerous by Beijing. Japan weather officials warn of a heavy rainfall in Aomori, Akita. Atomic bombing survivor and others march for nuclear weapons abolition. World news in detail. China has banned a landmark visit to Taiwan by U.S. Speaker Nancy Pelosi as extremely dangerous. It accused Ms. Pelosi, the most senior U.S. politician in 25 years to visit the island China claims as its own, of playing with fire. Those who play with fire will perish by it, Beijing warned in a statement. U.S. National Security spokesperson John Kirby said there was no reason for this visit to become a spurring event for the crisis or conflict. Speaking after Ms. Pelosi's arrival, he reiterated to reporters that the trip was consistent with the U.S. long-standing policy towards China and did not violate the country's sovereignty. Weather officials are warning of heavy downpours in northeastern Japan's Aomori and Akita prefectures. They say the risks of life-threatening landslides and floods are rapidly rising. The meteorological agency says that a front accompanied by a low-pressure system near northern Japan is making atmospheric conditions unstable in the Tohoku region. Officials say rainfall is intensifying, especially in Aomori and Akita prefectures. They say they confirmed the formation of bands of active rain clouds. People calling for the abolition of nuclear arms, including a 1945 Hiroshima atomic bombing survivor, marched yesterday in New York, where a review conference of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of the Nuclear Weapon is underway. About 100 people participated in the rally outside the UN building. The event was planned by non-governmental organizations. A survivor who experienced the bombing in Hiroshima, Shakuma Kunihito, took part, bearing a banner saying that humanity and the planet come first. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nancy Pelosi's trip labeled as extremely dangerous by Beijing. Japan weather officials warn of a heavy rainfall in Aomori, Akita. Atomic bombing, survivor and others march for nuclear weapons abolition. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. It has been reported that 47,293 tourists have arrived in the island last month. Most of the tourists arrived from India. Accordingly, 6,031 tourists from India have arrived in the island. The tourists have also arrived from Germany, France and Russia. According to the data released by the central bank, Sri Lanka has earned $59.1 million as an income from the tourism industry. That ends development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Yupon Abekun lived up to his billing as South Asia's fastest man by winning his heat to qualify for the semi-finals of the men's 100 meters, while two boxers, Rukmal Prasanna and Sajivani Kure, performed to their potential to win their round of 16 contests in Birmingham yesterday morning. Tarushi Karunaratne was able to win the fourth place at the women 400-meter event of the World Youth Athletic Championship. She completed the event by clocking 54.23 seconds. The athletes who won the first four places have been qualified for the semi-finals. That ends sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A new program to cultivate in plantation sector has implemented. The objective of this move is to enhance the food safety in the country. The employees of the plantation sector have been encouraged in this regard. Accordingly, short and long-term crop cultivation have begun in 21 such estates. These crops will be produced for the consumption of more than 1 million people living in estate sector. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Moving on to economic news, the government has implemented an extensive program for prawn cultivation activities. Under this program, more than 2,000 ponds are to be developed in this regard. Infrastructure facilities will also be provided to enhance the export-related factories. The expected export income through this cultivation is 550 million rupees. That ends economic news. Moving on to weather report. The Met Department says that heavy rains exceeding 100 mm is expected in some parts of the country due to the active southwest monsoon. They said heavy showers can be expected in some places in the Sabargamar province and in Kandy, Nuwara Eliya and Mathura districts. Meanwhile, showers forecast at times in western, Sabargamur, central, northwestern provinces and in Gaul and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers may occur in the northern and north-central provinces. The sea area of the coast extending from Mena to Pothville via Putlam, Colombo, Gaul and Hambantota will be very rough at times. Turbulent conditions in the sea areas of the coast extending from Putlam to Batiklo via Mena, Kankasatsuri and Trincomalee, the other sea areas around the island will be moderate. Therefore, those who are engaged in fishing and naval activities are advised not to venture into seas off the coast extending from Mena to Pothville via Putlam, Colombo, Gaul and Hambantota until further notice. That ends weather report and wrap up the afternoon news on Radio Sri Lanka. Let's take a look at the headlines once again. The President invites all parliamentarians and political parties to establish an all-party government. A National Assembly consisting of political party leaders. National economic policy for the next 25 years will be prepared. An office will be set up to protect the peaceful protesters. UAE's president holds talks with President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Payments for diesel cargo settled. Foreign news, Nancy Pelosi's trip labelled as extremely dangerous by Beijing. With that, we wrap up the afternoon news on Radio Sri Lanka.